Hey everybody, welcome to a brand new edition of the Pete McHugh Show. I'm here with my buddy Gage Harwood, and today we're going to talk to you about nano tanks.
This is going to be the first video of a series of nano tanks that we're starting here today on the Pete McHugh Show. So, Pete, I see you got a 10-gallon nano tank here. Why don't you kind of tell the folks out there, how do you start a nano tank?
Well, here's the most important thing I can tell you. If you're in the saltwater game and you're looking to start a saltwater tank, it's not an instant process. You have to have patience. Saltwater tanks are pretty and saltwater tanks are no doubt cool, but you can't do it straight off.
Is it safe to say that you would need more patience with a 10-gallon tank than maybe a 30?
Oh yeah, see here's the thing, here's a misconception a lot of people have. They think, well, if I have a 30-gallon tank, I'm going to have a lot more to deal with, and then I'm going to have a lot more space, and there's a lot more things to screw up. If the chemistry goes wrong in a big tank, then there's a problem. Reality is, if the chemistry goes wrong in a smaller tank, you got more of a problem, because if you have a mistake in a nano tank, stuff's going to screw up faster. So ultimately, what you're dealing with, and what you're going to want to deal with, if you're a beginner, this is my advice to you, you're going to want to start with a bigger tank.
So basically what you're saying is, you know, any newbies out there that want to get into the saltwater hobby, would you agree that a nano tank, for the most part, is that intermediate to maybe expert level?
Yeah, if you're used to tanks and you've done it for a while and you're not new to the hobby, I would say that a nano tank would be a good challenge and maybe a nice idea, but I wouldn't say it would be wise for a beginner, no.
Now, when they are setting this tank up, I know we like to stress patience with nano tanks. Explain to them, what exactly do you mean by the patience of setting up a nano tank?
Well, people get excited when they get into this hobby. They want a nano tank right away, or they want a tank because it looks pretty and it's gonna be a showpiece for the house or whatever, and it's gonna be this awesome. And ultimately, when you get into the hobby and you're well enough and you know what you're doing, it's a nice hobby to have. I mean, they're cool things to have around the house. It's just that they're not going to happen overnight. And we live in an instant society. We live in a society where a lot of people are like, I want to do this and I want it now and I want it to happen right away. And the reality is, when you're dealing with saltwater tanks, that's just not. It's not going to happen.
Now, opposed to, now, if there's somebody out there who's, hey, I got a freshwater tank, I'd like to start a saltwater tank. What advice can you give them about just the overall, how a freshwater tank gets compared to a saltwater tank? Now there's a living ecosystem in the saltwater.
Yes.
Can you kind of explain that to us here?
Well, when you're creating a saltwater ecosystem, you're simulating the ocean. In live sand and in live rock, you've got living organisms you have to deal with, and you're basically creating an ocean bed within a tank. And there's certain measurements for certain things, which we'll get into in just a minute, but I'm going to tell you right now, you got to be aware of every aspect of this process. You can't just throw things together.
And like when we're talking about patience, and you know, that's exactly what Peter's trying to say with the saltwater ecosystem. It takes time. It's not like a freshwater tank where you dump your water in and you dump your fish in. All this sand, all this live rock has to culture, it has to grow the bacteria necessary to filter your tank properly. So that's our first little bit on nano tanks. I hope you guys learned something. Once again, you know, big shout out to the Pete McHugh Show for having us today and having us, you know, come here and giving us some insight on some nano tanks. Check out my site, Outdoor Instincts Live. Got a bunch more videos on there for saltwater tanks. Chances are, if you're watching this, you're already at the Pete McHugh Show. I highly suggest you check out some of his videos. Very, very, very good stuff. You will learn something. So thanks again, Pete, for your knowledge on our nano reef system.
You're very welcome, man.
Take care, everybody. God bless.